What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. This OKC Thunder and Dallas Mavs series, this thing's going to be a war. All right, and it's going to be a contrast of styles, and this, I think it's going to be one of the best series that we've seen in a long time. For a multitude of reasons, I'm going to break down why I think this series is going to be so great, the matchups, and overall who I think is going to win and in how many games. Before I do, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe if you like this kind of content. Click the like button, really appreciate it. And yeah, in the comments, let me know who you got. Do you got the Thunder? Do you got the Mavs? And in how many games? So we're going to start with the matchups, right? And this is just kind of across the board here in terms of the starters and then some bench mates. You're going to have Giddey versus Kai. I think Kyrie is the better player, obviously. So I think you got an advantage for Dallas in that spot. Then you're going to have Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP level player, versus Derrick Jones Jr. I'm taking the MVP level player. And then you have Dort versus Luka, which I think is going to be the most important matchup of the series in terms of matchups and guarding each other. I think Dort on Luka is going to be a huge storyline as this series goes along, because I think Dort's one of the best defensive players in the league, and Luka's one of the best players in the world. So with that being said, I would take Luka. I'm not crazy. I'm gonna take Luka in that matchup. Then you have J-Dub versus PJ Washington. J-Dub being Jalen Williams. I think Jalen Williams is the better player. I think he's one of the up-and-coming rising stars in this league. And I largely thought he was the best player on the Thunder in a lot of the first round versus the Pelicans. That being said, I am still going to take J-Dub in this versus PJ. PJ had a really nice first-round series, but I just like Jalen Williams more. I think he provides more on the court. And then this is the big one for OKC in terms of how well is this series going to go for us. Chet Holmgren versus Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively, whoever is going to be the big man for them, because there's going to be no Maxi Kleber. I think he has a sprained shoulder. But Chet is going to be a big problem for the Mavs, simply because they just played the Clippers, and it's so much different with Zubac compared to Chet, because Chet's a better rim protector, and he spaces the floor, and he's better with the ball in his hands. So that's going to be a major, I think that's a big mismatch in OKC's favor. Then you have the bench, and I think this is another thing that goes in OKC's favor, because you're going to have Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, and Jay Will. Probably those four guys. Maybe you see some Gordon Hayward here and there, but those are going to be the main guys that you're going to see come off the bench for OKC. The Mavs, you're going to have Josh Green, Derek Lively, and Dante Exum. Maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. returns at some point in this series, but I do know that not too long ago he re-aggravated his ankle sprain in practice and hasn't played. So I don't know what's up with THJ if he's coming back. So we're going to kind of act like Josh Green, Derek Lively, and Dante Exum are the main guys coming off the bench for Dallas. And honestly, I just like OKC's bench more in terms of Cason Wallace is really good, Aaron Wiggins is really good, Isaiah Joe is really good, and Jay Will is formidable. So yeah, I think bench-wise and depth-wise, it goes OKC's way. Star power and things like that. When you have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving playing at their absolute best, it gives you a chance any given night. And I think that's something that I want to say Dallas has the first and third best players in this series. I would say Luka's probably the best player in this series, and you have Shea, and then you have Kyrie. And then I would say after that, though, is where you're going to lean towards OKC, where it's probably going to be J-Dub, Chet as, 4 and 5, and then we can kind of you can go after that. I don't think it really matters all that much after that. So ultimately, OKC's probably got 3 of the 5 best players in the series, but Dallas has first and third. And I want to get back to the Luka versus Lou Dort matchup, because I think we're going to see a ton of that. And I think if Dort can stay out of foul trouble on Luka, because Luka's going to get to that line, it's going to be a physical bruising matchup. And I'm going to tell you right now, while Lou Dort absolutely locked up Brandon Ingram, Luka is not Brandon Ingram. Luka is going to get his. That's going to happen no matter what. But if Dort makes it inefficient and forces some turnovers and gets that frustration going, I think that's going to be an important storyline to focus on, because if Luka's not playing like the absolute best player in the series and Shea's giving him a run for the money, or Shea is playing better, Dallas is probably screwed. But with that being said, Dallas has a super good defense right now. They are clicking on all cylinders. All their guys. Luka's playing defense. Kyrie's defense is so slept on. I've been saying it for a long time. That man is a lock-up defender. And then you have obviously like Derrick Jones Jr., who has been really good. PJ's been improved on defense. Daniel Gafford's a great rim protector. Derek Lively's getting better and better and better at it. I think we're going to see a lot of Josh Green on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think they're going to want somebody that's out there and physical. And we'll see how the reffing is in this series because Shai loves to get to the line. Shai will get you up in the air and he's going to draw that foul. But if they're not calling the ticky-tacky fouls, this series is going to get mucky. And I think that's where it could kind of swing towards Dallas's favor because that's what they did to the Clippers. They made it mucky. They made it physical. And a lot of times when you have teams that play kind of this flashy style, it screws things up for them. So I think if the series gets mucky, Dallas has a much stronger chance. And that's going to be something that'll be important to watch in terms of who handles the physicality better. Because I think if Dallas wants to win, they got to be the more physical team. They need to rebound better than OKC. That's a spot where when you have Gafford, PJ, and Luka, three bigger guys that can all attack the glass, and then Lively, Josh Green rebounds, Kyrie will get in there and rebound. If Dallas can win the rebounding matchup, that's going to help them a ton. So OKC, that's going to be something that they're going to have to try and limit the offensive rebounding opportunities for Dallas because you don't want to give Kyrie open threes on second chance shots. Those are backbreakers. So for Dallas to win, I think the biggest keys, they have to win the rebounding battle. They have to swarm on defense, and they got to make this series nasty. Like they got to make it. We got to make it where it's jump ball anytime the ball is on the ground. Where we're tying people up. Where dudes are getting fouled hard, not these ticky tacky ones. Like that's what Dallas has to do. Because I think guys like Luka and Kyrie can handle the physicality and play well in those circumstances. We haven't really seen OKC in the highest pressure moments do that. That's where experience can come into play. Things like that nature. But that still doesn't mean that OKC's screwed if it goes that way because we don't know how they react to it. If they react and they get even stronger, damn, it's gonna be rough. Now, like we said, for the biggest important factors for Dallas to win, the biggest factors for OKC to win, in my opinion, Chet's got to absolutely dominate. There's got to be a game or two here where he's the best player on the floor. Or a quarter or a half where his stamp is all over the game because I don't think anybody on Dallas can guard him. And it's different when Chet's back there protecting the rim because he's one of the best rim protectors in the league, which allows OKC's defense to play fast and swarm, and they're all long anyway. So it's going to be, I think this series is going to be just a smash mouth. You're not going to see a lot of games where the scoring is 120 plus. I think it's going to be a lot of games where it's slow and teams are trying to find their way through the mud, and I can't wait to see who pulls that out. Continuing on what OKC has to do to win, I think their bench, they have to outplay Dallas's bench. They got to get good performances from Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe. Like those guys, they need to have a stamp on the game. And lastly, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has to be an MVP. First round was a little like he played well, but it wasn't like regular season. He needs to be most times on the floor. He's got to be the best player or competing with Luka for it. So they're going to need him to be the best version of himself. And I think ultimately you're looking for the depth of OKC to take over. You're looking for the star power in having three of the best five players with Shai, J-Dub, and Chet. Those guys all have to be on their game. And that's what it's about in the playoffs at this point. You can't be relying on your ninth man to take over. This has got to be my best players because by the time you get to game 6 and 7, there's no adjustments to really be made. It's just my guys versus your guys, and we're going to see who wins. Now, speaking of who I think is going to win, I think OKC wins this in 7. I think it's a 7-game series. I think Dallas is going to make this a pain in the ass. I think Luka's going to be awesome. I think Kyrie's going to be awesome. I think a lot of these guys are going to have great moments in this series, and I think I'll say probably 5 of the 7 games are going to be like nail biters. You'll get maybe one blowout here, maybe one blowout there, but I think it's going to be a hard-fought series. And I think that game 1 is a potential steal game for Dallas. If they can come out and win that game, because OKC is going to be very well rested. But with being well rested and not having a game in 8 days, by the time game 1 rolls around, OKC will have not played in 8 days. That's going to be, maybe they're rusty. Maybe they're rusty, or maybe they come out firing. Who knows? But typically after long layoffs like that, you see teams come out a little slow, at least in the first quarter or the first half. And I think that's Dallas's time. We're like, yeah, we got a couple days rest. We need to jump on it. If OKC comes out and plays great, then I I still love my pick anyway. I think OKC in 7 is going to happen. Ironically, I think each team will win on each team's home court. I think OKC will win in Dallas, and I think Dallas will win at OKC at some point. And that's how you get a 7-game series. But let me know in the comments who you got, how many games, what are the matchups you're most excited for. I can't wait for Dort versus Luka, and I can't wait to see how Dallas manages to try and guard Chet. I think that's going to be something it's like a chess match, and it's going to be great to watch. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe if you like this kind of content. Please like the video. I appreciate you for watching. Cannot wait for this series. It's going 7.